And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host, Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and review for today's episode of The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 8. Now, this is the season finale, unfortunately, so if you have not caught up yet, big spoilers ahead, you've been warned. So, as we all know, last week's episode was pretty much an intense episode, if you want to call it that, where, Mando and, Bo-Katan, the rest of the Mandalorians, they went back to Mandalore, with Grogu, of course, and, they figure, we can go fix our planet, see what we can do, and of course, they fall for a trap when Moff Gideon shows up, and he starts basically declaring that he's a Mandalorian. He's gonna rule. He's gonna have dark Mandalorians with Beskar armor, and he's got his own Beskar armor, Mandalorian armor suit on, which is like all black and a little bit of red, which looked pretty dope. They capture Mando, and now Bo-Katan and the rest has gotta fight back and try to take back Mandalore as best they can, and obviously also try to rescue Mando, of course, but. For Mando, he did not really need that much help. He only needed the help of Grogu. And him and Grogu teamed up to try to not only escape from his little predicament, but also take out Moff Gideon as best as he can. And also help the rest of the team do what they need to do to get back Mandalore. And we got to see Mando versus Moff Gideon. We got to see Moff Gideon versus Bo-Katan with the Darksaber, which looked so cool. We got to see Mandalorians in the air, doing some air assaults, with their jetpacks flying to take out these bad, Mandalorian kind of, stormtrooper people. So all that stuff was great. I really enjoyed all that, all the flying stuff. The action scenes were great. But I want to talk about the bad stuff about this because there was some couple stuff that did not work. I felt like this story just ended in a weird way. It felt like it was a regular episode of Mandalorian. If this episode was like episode 2 of Mandalorian, you'd be like, man, I'm so pumped. This looks awesome. I can't wait to see more. But it did not feel like a closing chapter of a season. It really just felt like there was some unfinished business in here. Because, yeah, sure, we got to see Bo-Katan finally using the Darksaber, which is awesome. And then it breaks. Moff Gideon grabs her, takes the Darksaber, and breaks it. I don't want to sound super negative about this episode, because all the action scenes in here were great, and I loved it. But it really just felt like there was no closure to this episode at all. It felt like a to be continued for next season kind of thing, where it felt like it ends on a happy note, but then again it feels like it's the mid-season finale, and we have to wait a couple of months for the rest of the season. Kind of like if you watch the CW's superhero shows, kind of like that. Whenever the Flash or even when Arrow was on, they always had those episodes where it gets intense, and then they beat the big bad for that week, and then we find out the bigger bad's gonna come out, and then we gotta wait a couple of months for the new season to return, for the rest of the season to return. Kind of like that, except we didn't get that. It didn't feel like that. It just felt rushed. It felt unclosed, and it just felt very weird as well. Like I said, it was a good episode in its way when, all the action scenes, but the episode itself did not feel like a season finale episode. It felt like a regular, this week's episode had, Bo-Katan finding Moff Gideon, they defeated him, and now they're gonna get ready to fight the big bad guy for the rest of the season. It felt like it could have been like an episode 2 or 3 episode, and it was actually the last episode. The Darksaber's gone, so the whole point of, Bo-Katan getting the Darksaber back to try to reclaim Mandalore, that was complete a waste. Because in Clone Wars, they made it look. If you ever watch Clone Wars, In Clone Wars, they made it like completely obvious that the Darksaber is the weapon of a Mandalorian to be able to rule the other Mandalorians. That was the main thing for that weapon's purpose. And they basically treat it as a joke. Now, the Darksaber is supposed to be kind of like the Elder Wand in Star Wars. Kind of, in Harry Potter, the Elder Wand is the most powerful wand in Harry Potter. But when Harry broke it, he made sure nobody uses it. That had a purpose. This, well, in the book, is very different, but still. In this, it just felt like, oh yeah, the sword's gone. There's no purpose for it. Now, if they bring it back next season, if there is another season, I'm not really sure, and they fix it, fine, cool. But what was the point of even breaking it in the first place if it's going to come back next season? That made no sense to me. The end of the episode is just Mando. He gets his condo, in the place that he was hanging out with his friend, and they got IG-11 back. That was cool. He's now the sheriff of the town, so that's good to to protect. He officially adopted Grogu. Now Grogu is now Din Grogu, sorry. And now when he gets a little older, he will be inducted as a youngling of the Mandalorian. We got to see the Mandalorians, the one who died, sacrificed himself from last week's episode. His son become a full-length Mandalore. So that was cool. We saw the Mandalorian, that creature that they wear in the ocean. So that could be something for next year. But overall, this whole episode was just kind of flat. Just felt flat and didn't feel like a real good season finale. But what can you do? What can you do? So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Stay tuned for more. Thank you very much. And have a good day.